Good evening, everyone. It is 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, January the 10th, 2023. Happy New Year, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone in our council audience as well as our listening audience at WCBU. I'd also like to welcome the audience watching on cable channel 22. This is to call the meeting of the Peoria City Council to order. Madam Clerk, the council mics are open. Please call the roll. Do that again.
Mayor Ali.
Present.
Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Councilmember Sear.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Here.
Councilmember Jensen. Councilmember Kelly.
Here.
Councilmember Euler.
Here.
Councilmember Riggenbach.
Here.
Councilmember Reckriegel.
Present.
And Councilmember Valpula.
Present.
We have a quorum present, Madam Mayor.
Great, thank you. Please join me, everyone, and stand for a moment of silent prayer or silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Gosh, the last time I saw you was for the erection of the Christmas tree.
Madam Clerk?
We are at the minutes.
Norler?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I move to approve the minutes of the joint City Council and Town Board meeting held on December 13th, 2022 as printed.
Seconded by Councilmember Allen. Cast your ballots. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We are at the public hearings. 23-001 is a public hearing regarding the annexation of 9601 North Allen Road, Peoria, Illinois.
May I have a motion to open the public hearing moved by Councilmember Sears, seconded by Councilmember Kelly? Please cast your ballots. No? Hold on just a moment. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the public hearing 22-001, the public hearing regarding the annexation of 9601 North Allen Road in Peoria? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Ron Holohan, and I'm a board member of the Dunlap Library Board and its treasurer. In the past 2 years, the city of Peoria has annexed properties within the district, or within the Dunlap Library District 5 times. Of course, with each annexation, the revenue, the tax revenue that would have gone to the Dunlap Library Board no longer goes there. As a consequence, we've had to operate this year out of reserve funds, or supplementing our regular budget with reserve funds. And I don't think it takes a prophet to predict the fate of the Dunlap Library if this continues with the regularity that it has occurred. Then you can imagine my dismay when I learned last Thursday for the first time that there was a consideration of establishing a TIF district that would further decrease our revenues and put a further financial strain upon our district. By the way, I learned about this Thursday for the first time. Whenever the city was going to annex property, each
Mr.
of us-
Houlihan, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to make sure that you're speaking to the
To the issue.
public hearing, the right public hearing. We have two public hearings today. The first one is on the annexation of 9601 North Allen Road, and the next one pertains to the TIF district. Do you,
I feel like that person from Saturday Night Live who always said, I get it. I'll be back. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak to the public hearing 23-001, the public hearing regarding the annexation of 9601 North Allen Road in Peoria? And for the third time, is there anyone who wants to speak to public hearing 23-001, the public hearing regarding the annexation of 9601 North Allen Road in Peoria? Then I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing, moved by Councilmember Velpula, seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
23-002 is a public hearing regarding the proposed Medina Plains Allen Road Business Park Tax Increment Financing District.
This public hearing regarding the proposed Medina Plains-Allen Road Business Park Tax Increment Financing District, or TIF, is being held pursuant to Chapter 65 of the Illinois Compiled Statutes, Section 5/11-74.4-5, and public notice. Before we hear from those who wish to speak, the city will adjourn the hearing at the conclusion of comments tonight and reconvene the hearing at 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, January the 24th, 2023 in City Hall Chambers, 419 Fulton Street in Peoria. The city will also provide written notice to the appropriate parties that a revised legal description of the redevelopment area and parcels to be included within the redevelopment area. Annexations of properties that are not yet complete requires this change to the redevelopment area and the redevelopment plan. I would ask for a motion to open this public hearing, moved by Councilmember Velpula, seconded by Councilmember Sear. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. If there are any individuals that wish to provide comment, please approach the podium, state your name for the record, and provide your comments. Welcome back, Mr. Houlihan.
Thank you for having me. Again, my name's Ron Houlihan, and I'm here on behalf of the Dunlap Library District. Our library board only meets once a month, except in December, so we did not have a meeting, and we would not have had an opportunity to discuss this proposal. So I'm here as an individual until the board, the Dunlap Library Board has an opportunity to discuss this situation and come to its own recommendations. They will meet, as you will meet, the 24th of January. So this is really the first time that we've had an opportunity to react to this proposal. And again, the proposal would further reduce our tax revenues and therefore provide a hardship to the district. Now, a couple of days ago, our director received another communication from the city of Peoria that said that 4 parcels that are in our district would be accepted. They would be excluded from this TIF district. I would like to find out whether that is true, whether they will be excluded, and secondly, whether there are any other remaining parcels that are in the library district that are included in the TIF district. I need this information so that when we discuss it as a board, the board will be able to give due consideration to this proposal. So at some point, maybe at a later date, I would like to know, is there are there any other parcels that are included in the amended proposal? And secondly, what are the plans of the city, if they have any, for further annexation of the Dunlap Library District? Thank you, Madam.
You're welcome. We'll make sure that you get that information. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to public hearing 22-002, the public hearing regarding the proposed Medina Plains Allen Road Business Park Tax Increment Financing TIF District? And finally, is there anyone else that would like to provide comment regarding 22-002, the public hearing regarding the proposed Medina Plains Allen Road Business Park TIF District?
My name is Bob Hall. I'm an attorney with Miller Hall and Triggs in Peoria. Madam Mayor, just for clarification, though, the hearing is being adjourned and to be continued on the 24th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. As there appears to be no further comment, I would like to entertain a motion that this hearing be reconvened at 6:00 p.m. on January 24th, 2023 in these chambers. Moved by Councilmember Sears, seconded by Councilmember Ruckriegel. Any comments, discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
We have one town item. 23-003 is a request from the town officials to approve the December 2022 actual expenditures and to approve the January 2023 anticipated expenditures for the town of the city of Peoria.
Councilmember Grant?
Move to approve as outlined.
Seconded by Councilmember Jackson. Any discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at the consent agenda. 23-004 is a communication from the Mayor and Corporation Council with a request to approve the declaration of local state of emergency. 23-005 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Human Resources with a request to authorize the payment of a workers' compensation settlement in the amount of $140,000 to a firefighter injured on 2 separate dates going back to 2019. 23-006 is a communication from the City Manager and Corporation Council with a request to approve a settlement agreement and release in exchange for the resignation of Jeremy Lehman. 23-007 is a communication from the City Manager and Corporation Council with a request to approve a real estate purchase agreement with Illinois Valley Public Telecommunications in the City of Peoria. 23-008 is a communication with a request to approve a resolution authorizing Kyle Craddy to serve as trustee of the Illinois Public Reserves Investment Management Trust. 22-433 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Public Works with a request to approve an ordinance amending Chapter 28 of the Code of the City of Peoria relating to the Transportation Commission. 23-009 is a communication with a request to concur with a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff to adopt an ordinance approving a special use in a Class R3 single-family residential district for a short-term rental for the property located at 1001 Northeast Glen Oak Avenue. 23-010 is a communication with a request to concur with a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff to adopt an ordinance amending a special use in a Class C2 large-scale commercial district to allow an adult-use cannabis dispensary for the property located at 1210 West Glen Avenue, which includes properties located at 1222 West Glen Avenue, 4730, 4732, 4734, 4736, 4738, 4800, 4810, and 4816 North University Street, commonly known as Crossroads Center Shopping Center. 23-011 is a communication with a request to concur with a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff to adopt an ordinance rezoning property from Class R3 single-family residential district to a Class CN neighborhood commercial district for the property located at 331 Northeast Perry Avenue. And 23-012 is a communication with a request to receive and file the month ended November 30th, 2022 unaudited financial report. And that concludes our consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there items to remove from consent? Councilmember Rodrigo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 23-007.
Thank you. Councilmember Velpula?
Madam Mayor, 23-011.
What was the last part?
23-011.
Thank you. Councilmember Jensen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 23-005.
Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 23004.
Any more items to remove from consent? Can I get a motion to approve all the other items? Councilmember Riggenbach, seconded by Councilmember Graham. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
23-004 is a communication from the Mayor and Corporation Council with a request to approve the declaration of local state of emergency, and on your desk there is a yellow handout of a revised declaration.
Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome.
Mr. Corporation Counsel, I'd just like to be clear that since the governor continues to say there's a state of emergency in the state of Illinois, we are not compelled to, by that, him doing that, we're not compelled to also declare such a state, are we?
Councilman, we are not compelled. That is an independent judgment of this body to, the mayor makes the declaration and then we accommodate that, the council can take action if it chooses to with regard to that activity by the mayor.
All right, thank you. Madam Mayor, I'll be voting no again
Okay,
on this item. Thank you.
you're welcome. Any more discussion on this item? May I have a motion to approve? Moved by Councilmember Allen, seconded by Councilmember Velpula. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes, 1 nay. Kelly. Madam Clerk?
23-005 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Human Resources with a request to authorize the payment of a workers' compensation settlement in the amount of $140,000 to a firefighter injured on 2 separate dates going back to 2019.
Councilmember Jensen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've pulled this because I will be abstaining from this matter. My husband's law firm represented the city in this matter.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. May I get a motion to approve this item? Moved by Councilmember Sears, seconded by Councilmember Allen. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes with 1 abstention. Jensen. Madam Clerk?
23-007 is a communication from the City Manager and Corporation Council with a request to approve a real estate purchase agreement with Illinois Valley Public Telecommunications and the City of Peoria.
Councilmember Ruckriegel?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a member of the executive team of the Illinois Valley Public Television Communications, most probably known most frequently here as WTVP, I will be abstaining from this vote.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Sear, was that a motion to approve? Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Riggenbach. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes with 1 abstention. Ruckriegel. Madam Clerk?
23-011 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Community Development with a request to concur with the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff to adopt an ordinance rezoning property from a Class R3 single-family residential district to a Class C and neighborhood commercial district for the property located at 331 Northeast Perry Avenue.
Councilmember Velpula?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a clarification question. So this agenda is about rezoning a property from residential to C and neighborhood commercial. But I also got, I was confused to see that the proposed zoning would also allow for a short-term rental use. So that means we have a building which has the upper story is an office space and lower one was a short-term rental. So I've been in this process for probably quite some time, and this is the first time I see a commercial as well as a residential as well as a short-term. So I don't know whether we are taking that route going forward. If let's say I wanted to buy a property, and then that property has a kitchen, everything, then so everybody can come and ask, saying that can we rezone it to residential? So are we going to take a step as a blanket ordinance that this could be used both as a residential and short-term rental, or we will get one more shot at this for the short term?
Mr. Manager, can you provide some clarification?
Thanks, Mayor. Actually, I'm going to probably turn it over to our Assistant Community Development Director, Leah Allison, who I think can provide some clarity on the kind of mixed use that you can have in the CN zoning classification.
And that's completely accurate, Mr. Manager, and thank you. The CN neighborhood, commercial neighborhood zoning class is a mixed-use district that allows both certain commercial uses and residential uses, one of them being the short-term rental opportunity. So it's in keeping with the zoning class of neighborhood commercial. Does that answer your question, Mr. Bell?
A little bit. I have one follow-up question. So when you went to zone this, did you have your frame of mind to allow it to change the residential to the commercial zoning, or you went there to see if the zoning is for short term? I mean, you'll have two different criteria allowing two different things happening in one house, if I'm understanding correctly.
Potentially, yes. When you change a property to a different zoning class, it opens up every permitted use in that zoning class. So we're not focused just on the short-term rental. It's an opportunity for anything within that zoning district that you have to keep in mind. The thought behind the request is to allow more of a meeting space opportunity, kind of a niche boutique type setting. It's a very unique structure with an existing decor and framework that I think the property owner is looking to take advantage of and utilize as a gathering place that would be, again, in keeping with that neighborhood commercial. There's also some thought that if the opportunity presents itself to be appropriate for a short-term rental as well. Again, both uses are allowed as a permitted use in the neighborhood commercial district.
Thank you so much.
And
thank you.
As I understand it, the mixed use is trending more, especially in urban areas, and we're likely to see more of mixed use purposes.
Potentially, yes. Yeah, potentially.
Okay. Do you have any more questions or comments, Councilman?
Not really, but for me to really accept this, I mean, it's good that there is urbanization. It's good like people are thinking out of the box to have multiple things happening at one. As a council, so let's say now the 330 Northeast Perry guy come up and say we wanted to change it. So it's given now. Going forward, if anybody can have, if they are in that CN zoning, they could use it for short-term rental as well, if I'm understanding right.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you,
you're
Madam
welcome. Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarification, as I read this, the first floor is office. The second floor is residential. Is that correct?
Currently, the structure is all residential.
I understand, but the zoning change to neighborhood commercial is going to have commercial on the ground floor, residential on the upper floor. Is that correct?
That could be, yes, what becomes of the property, but the whole property, all floors, all parts of the property, if approved, would be zoned neighborhood commercial. So there wouldn't be a specific distinction between each floor.
Well, there is in the communication, though.
As the owner has described to us, that is her desire to give us kind of a framework of what her intent is. But with a zoning change, if approved, that would not be a limiting factor as described. It's just helping you as a commission understand what maybe the intent is behind the request.
So my impression in reading this item was that the upper floor could be permanent residential, let's say, or short-term rental, and the ground floor would be office space. I am incorrect in that assumption. Is that right?
That is true. That could happen, but what
Could.
I'm trying to explain, it wouldn't be limited to that.
Yes, that's what I mean. Thank you.
Councilmember Riggenbach?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When Ms. Graves approached us about the project she had in mind, I think it's important to point out that currently this is zoned R3, which is single-family residential. And if you think about the location of this, this is on that strip of property between Interstate 74 and Spalding Avenue. It's not even a whole block width. And I think it would be safe to say to see single-family residential in that area is probably never going to happen. So in order to help facilitate development there, community development led by Assistant Director Allison was doing some brainstorming about what would be the appropriate buffer between the central business district and the North Valley. And as you cross Spalding Avenue, there's still kind of a hodgepodge of zoning there, but we have the diocese owns a number of properties there, and there is some various uses currently. So this CN really rose to the surface as being the logical thing for us to do. And I would dare say that that entire strip from 74 up to where it dissolves into Knoxville, this commercial neighborhood zoning would be an appropriate thing to consider in the future for the other parcels as well, because it isn't as intense as straight commercial, but it provides some opportunities that are a little more outside the box than what we've seen in the past. So I endorse this. We hosted a meeting with the developer and invited some of the key stakeholders from the North Valley to come in. With that said, I would move for the approval.
Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Euler. Continued discussion, Councilmember Velpula.
This is the last question, I promise. So how many other, in that zoning, how many residential houses are still there? Like now we are changing this one. This is a R3 single family residential to Class CN, right? How many other houses are there who are residential in that strip?
As Councilman Riggenbach described, there are a couple additional residential structures as you go north up towards the top of the hill towards Knoxville that are zoned residential. They're there, but in the future, there may be opportunity to reconsider a zoning change for those properties as well.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Okay, any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We would be at regular business, and we have nothing listed, so we will move on to unfinished business. 22-436 is a communication from the City Manager and Director of Community Development with a request to approve a contract with Dorr & Associates, Inc. for the Harrison School demolition project.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to ask Director Doolin to kind of walk through this item. We did have some additional due diligence that was done over the past several weeks, and so I think he can provide that update to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'd ask that you approve this contract, get us started on the Harrison School demolition. Some of the remaining issues we had to work out was with the recommended contractor, making sure they could follow all of our regulations and guidance around labor. They've indicated that they will, upon passage, be signing on with our local labor organizations to ensure that the apprenticeship program and all those things are being taken care of. In addition, they indicated that they will be hiring for their hauling a local minority contractor as well.
Great. Can I get a motion to approve? Councilmember Jackson, seconded by Councilmember Velpula. Any other discussion? Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk?
We are at new business.
Is there any new business? we go. Councilmember Riggenbach.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to give a little follow-up to the council with some things that have occurred with the Darwin SFR 3 situation since our last meeting. On December 20th, staff, well, first of all, we were able to reach SFR 3 directly, and Director Doolin did a great job of maneuvering through the labyrinth of corporate and property managers and whatnot, and was able to get a 1-month extension for all of those property tenants that were affected by that order to vacate. But even in addition to that, on December 20th, we held a virtual town hall meeting, if you will, with Prairie State Legal Service, just making available information to the tenants what their rights are and what recourse they would have if these rights were not being respected. In light of that discussion, there was a neighborhood meeting last week at the East Bluff Community Center. Still a lot of concerns, and I would also say there's a fair amount of misinformation out there still that needs some clarity. So talking with the mayor and the director, I thought I would suggest that we have a presentation at our second meeting in February with some of the key stakeholders, Peoria Opportunities, Phoenix, Continuum of Care, the folks who were involved at the street level on affordable housing issues. And I think it would be important for us to be reminded, but more importantly for our constituents to know of our ongoing efforts and how we are using our resources to address this issue of the unsheltered and, more importantly, tenants' rights and making sure that there is an affordable housing stock available. For those folks that are coming down to crunch time and don't have a place to move on January 31st, Community Development has resources available. 494-8600 is the number to Community Development. They would be a resource for you. And if it's a crisis situation, 211 is always a good number to call as well. So I would ask to have a presentation prepared for the second meeting in February, as I said, on these issues, and we want to make sure that folks know that we are being as proactive as we can to address them.
Thank you for taking leadership on that, Councilman Riggenbach. It's a really important topic for discussion.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just had one issue. I wanted to see if city staff could give us a report back. I've had questions from residents about numbers of smoke shops popping up. They're all over the place, and one resident had expressed concern about product being sold to minors. Is there some way we could get a count of just how many there are all around the city? And maybe we could, that would give us some indication as to how we should evaluate this situation.
We would be happy to give you a report back on all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy New Year to all the constituents in the audience and all those listening and viewing as well, too. Friendly reminder that the 8th annual 365 breakfast presented by the Peoria Public Schools Foundation is this Thursday. This is a drive-through breakfast event, so with a suggested donation, you will be able to pick up a breakfast from Hy-Vee on Sheridan. And then you can take that to your place of employment, or you can take it back home, and then you can watch the virtual presentation that will begin via the Peoria Public Schools Facebook page at 10 a.m. Peoria Public School alumni Corey Marshall is this year's keynote speaker, and so he's a very dynamic individual, man of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, shameless plug there, but he's also on the board of trustees of Eureka College and has worked in the administration of J.B. Pritzker, President Obama, and a few other elected officials. So he's a very, very successful alumni and product of Peoria Public Schools. So as you kick off your new year and you're looking to support Peoria Public Schools, this is a great opportunity. The foundation provides uniforms, classroom grants for our amazing teachers, and so much more, addressing the basic needs of our families within Peoria Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to take this time to commend our Community Development Department Director, Director Doolin, for his continuing work on streamlining and making much better for the city our system of acquiring tax delinquent properties. Mr. Doolin Director Doolin has coordinated with other cities in the state. They're bringing forward a new statute to address something called sale in error, which, if passed, would knock off years' worth of waiting to be able to acquire some of these properties and perhaps, hopefully, set up a system where renovation is much more economical than it is without it, and or demolition much more quickly, so that these blighted, if the property is that blighted, it doesn't negatively affect the neighborhood for any longer than possible. They've done yeoman's work. I'm thrilled with the direction it's going, and kudos to Director Doolin. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You. Any other new business? Madam Clerk?
We are at citizens' opportunity to address the City Council, and I have not received any comment cards.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay. Then we are at executive session.
Council Hayes?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Prior to a separate motion to adjourn, I'd like to invite a motion to convene in closed session immediately after adjournment of the City Council meeting pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Section 5 ILCS 120/2C2 to discuss collective negotiating matters, and pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 5 ILCS Section 120/2C21 for approval by the body of closed session minutes.
So we're voting to adjourn and go into closed session. May I have a motion? Moved by Councilmember Sears, seconded by Councilmember Jackson. Please cast your ballots. Motion passes unanimously.
Mayor, we need a separate motion to adjourn. Thank you.
Need a separate, okay, hold it. We just moved to go into executive session. Now I need a separate motion to adjourn, moved by Councilmember Allen, seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Please cast your ballots. We are adjourned. Thank you for your service.